Welcome to the Mindful Faith Podcast, where we talk life to faith and everything in between. But first, I just want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart from all the support that you've given me from social media to TikTok to Instagram to the support to the kind comments. Like, I don't know if you know how much that means to me. When I first started doing all this, I just started doing it. I feel like I was being obedient God. Like, I didn't think this would come from this or he would give me if I did this. Like even from the brand, you guys are supporting the brand abundantly and more than I could imagine. So thank y'all because when I started, it wasn't to blow up on this or blow up on that or get praised for this or get praised for that. I just feel like I was being obedient to God, and I've learned when you're obedient to God, He'll make sure everything else works out in your favor. Like I've gotten things and I've taken things farther than I could have ever imagined, and I'll be like, when you do that, when you do life with God, that's what happens. You give him a destination and he says, that's not where I want to take you. That's not where you're going. That's mediocrity. Like we're not going there. But when you follow me, I want to take you a lot further than where you belong. And I feel like that's what he's doing. You guys been asking for this for a while. I feel like he's been telling me to do this for a while. So I'm trusting him with my faith. I'm being mindful about the things that I do, that I intake mentally. And I know he's going to have his hand over this, that he's going to bless this, and that this isn't just for me. This isn't just for you. You know, that we're doing this together and that we're all going to learn and grow together. Because I always say the mindful faith, like it's not just a name, it's just not a brand, like it's a family, like we do life together. So thank y'all more that I can ever put in words because it has changed my life. And we're gonna continue to keep going, we're gonna continue to keep growing, and we're gonna continue to keep doing this life together with God as our foundation and keep moving and watch how he blesses our life. So thank you guys. But today's episode one, it's been some time coming. Episode one is about surviving your hard time. Surviving your hard time. And obviously I'm sitting here and I'm recording this by myself, but no matter what you look like, where you come from, or who your mom is, you're gonna go through a hard time. There's a saying that you're either about to go into a hard time, you're in the midst of a hard time, or you just got out of one. And when I heard that, it really kind of put me in a space to say, like, you need to treat everybody with love because at that point you're either finna go into one and it's already messing up your mental because you can see the storm. It's something about seeing the storm before it get to you. You try to prepare. It's either one or two things. You try to prepare and take the impact of what the storm's gonna cause, the damage. Or some people, and we've all been here in life, we run from it. And it's something about running from a storm that you can't run from a storm. Life gon' life, right? If y'all know me, for the people who've been around for a while, we got a couple sayings: life gon' life, God be guiding. You know what I'm saying? And you can't run from a storm. The storm, but you got to remember, storms aren't meant to break us. It's meant to uplift us. It's meant to empower us. So you can't run from something that's gonna benefit you. It's gonna catch up to you eventually. But you realize you can see the storm, or you're literally in the midst of a storm. Like the storm has come, you fighting your battle. It's hard getting up every day, or you just got out of a storm. And so when you can look at those three people's life, if you really sit back, you can see, you can look at somebody and you can tell what type of storm they in, what season of life they in. You can tell that they nervous because they about to go into one. You can really tell when somebody's in the midst of one when they putting a smile on their face, knowing that ain't that what their situation is right now. Or you can tell somebody who just got out of one and it looks like they were fighting for their life because they probably was fighting for their life. They have a type of aura over their life that it took me down, but it didn't kill me. And those my favorite people because you have to fight. You have to fight to get through whatever you had to go through. So I always want you to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? Be mindful first about your faith. Be mindful about other people's situations because we were put in this world to be selfless, not selfish, right? To not care what somebody got going on, to not care what they going through. I ain't saying you got to be their Lord and Savior because that's not what we was put on this earth to be, but you can be a helping hand. You know what I'm saying? Be mindful about what they going on. So surviving your hard storm, surviving your hard time is what we talking about today. But I kind of want to start with a verse, Matthew 9:20. And this story, it's one of my favorite stories, honestly, and I learned it not too long ago. It's one of my favorite stories, because what she was in the midst of her hard time for years. Now, when you look at your hard time, some hard times can last weeks, months, a year. But her hard time lasted 12 years. And I don't know about you. Lord forgive me, boy, because I ain't trying to go through no hard time for no 12 years. I know when we go through them, we going to get through them. But 12 years, that's 12 years. I ain't, you hear me? What we going to read? I'm starting on Matthew 9, verse 20. And I'm going to give you a little back context. Jesus was walking to go heal somebody's daughter, but he had to walk to get there, obviously. But let's say verse 19. So Jesus and his disciples got up and went with him. Just then, a woman who had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding came up behind him. She touched the fringe of his robe, for she thought, if I can just touch his robe, I will be healed. Jesus turned around when he saw her and said, Daughter, be encouraged. Your faith has made you well. And the woman was healed at the moment. And this story is caught in multiple books of the Bible. This one was kind of like straightforward, but if you read one of the other books, um, it's him and his disciples, and it's a bunch of people. They heard about Jesus, like, let me go see who dude is. Like, they going, they hype, they touching him. And if you read the book, the story in the other book, he asks, who just touched me? And he asks, who just touched me? His disciples like, why you ask who just touched you? You see all these people touching you. He's like, no, I felt somebody touch me with the purpose. My healing virtue left my body. And he turned around and she got on her knees and she's crying. She's like, I'm sorry, whatever the case may be. He's like, my daughter, your faith has made you well. Go live your life. And it's something about a hard time, because we're all gonna go through it. But where do you go when you in your hard time? Like, do you run to friends and family? And we're not supposed to do hard times by ourselves by any means. But who do you run to first? And if, in the other book, you read the story, it talks about how she went to many doctors. She lost all her money trying to get well. And the book says she didn't get better, but she got worse. And so who do you run to first? She ran to all these doctors, doctor after doctor after doctor. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. She didn't get better. She got worse. And she heard about this dude named Jesus. And if I don't know this lady personally, we can only read about her story. But I can only imagine, if I'm 12 years in the storm, I'm probably on the give up virtue. Like, I'm gonna try this last thing. I'm gonna try this dude named Jesus. And if he don't work, man, I'm gonna just call it quits. I probably would have called it quits before 12 years. And I'm being honest, y'all know I ain't gonna sit here and lie to y'all. 12 years is crazy. So like 12 years is ridiculous long. Like, when we say life be life, and that is the definition of life be life. Life be life, and that's too long for me. That's too long for your boy. But I'm pretty sure she like, let me try this dude named Jesus, and if he don't work, I'm just gonna call it quits. And so she ran to doctors first. Who do you run to first? She ran to doctors first, and she didn't get well. I kind of want to know who she ran to for those 12 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, who was it that you ran to for 12 years? Obviously, in her circumstance, they were learning about Jesus. We know about Jesus. We know what he can do. They were learning and hearing of what he has done. You know what I'm saying? So obviously it's kind of unfair to say in her situation, but it's still kind of relevant. Who were you running to for 12 years? But she's like, I'm going to try this man named Jesus. They've been saying he's a healer. He's a provider. He opens doors when doors are closed. He clears valleys and he parts seas. So let me go try him out. And I kind of figure out, like, her faith was very strong because he's in a crowd full of people. And she just thought, if I can touch his robe, not touch him, I don't need to talk to him. I don't need to touch his skin. If I can just touch his robe, I'll know I'll be healed. And that's what she did. And he turns around like, who touched me? He felt the healing virtue. And that's how, look her now. That's how good Jesus is. He was on the way to heal somebody else, and he was just passing through, and he healed somebody unintentionally. Like, that's how good Jesus, that's how powerful he is. He was on the way to heal, and he end up healing without even knowing. So you don't even gotta be face to face with him. You just gotta be in the right area, and you can get what you came for. So who do you run to first? Who do you run to first? You gotta run to him. And I want to keep reading because this kind of go along with, all right, he healed her, right? The lady who bled for 12 years, she good now. He still needs to go heal the girl that he was going to heal in the first place. And then it says, when Jesus arrived at the official's home, he saw the noisy crowd and he heard funeral music. This story kind of, don't read your Bible too Biblically. That's another saying I'll be saying. I know the grammar is not a proper word. Don't read your Bible too Bible. Like Jesus was a straight gangster. Like he was straight out here. Like he was one of them. Like he wasn't. Like he was really one of them. And the reason why you don't see that is because you're reading your Bible too proper. I'm finna read this, and you gotta imagine. Just imagine, like, all right, I'm finna read. When Jesus arrived at the official's home, he saw the noisy crowd and he heard the funeral music. Get out. And just walk in like, hey, get out, in the Michael Jackson voice. No, you're like, get out. Get out. You feel me? Get out. He told them, the girl isn't dead. She's only asleep. But the crowd laughed at him after the crowd was put outside. However, Jesus went in and took the girl by the hand and she stood up. The report of the miracle swept through the entire countryside. And this is very important too. I say, who do you run to when you're going through your hard time? Who do you run to first? Be careful. Be careful inviting people in before you invite God in, because they saw death and he saw she was resting. If you invite man into your situation before God, they'll speak death over a situation that ain't even death, and it might turn into death. He walked in, he told them, get out. She's not dead, she's asleep, and they laughed at him. They spoke death over her life, and she wasn't dead. God saw her as resting. Don't let a man come in your life before you talk to God, and the life that you're living, the situation that you're living, it might look dead, but it ain't dead. It's just getting ready to bloom. But they speak death over your life and kill everything that God is about to do. That's one of my favorite things. He said, get out. She ain't dead. She's sleeping. They laugh. And he said, watch this. That's the difference between man and God. We see things for what they look like, and God sees things for what they can become. They spoke death. He spoke life. Actually, he said she's resting, because I've learned right before God take you somewhere you ain't never been, he needs you to get a little rest. He needs you to get a little rest, because what's about to come next, you need all the energy for it, because you're not going to live the life of sorrow anymore, or pain or depression. You're going to live a life of miracles, blessings, signs, and wonders, and joy and love. And I don't know about you, but I want to be awake and fully rested for every moment that comes with that, because I've encountered so much bad. I want to encounter all the good while I can. So he needs you to rest. Who do you run to first when you're going through your hard time? Because that's very important. I got a little story, real quick little story. Not too long ago, I was in the hospital. I was having this pain, and look, let me tell y'all something. I don't do hospitals. I'm not doing no hospital. I don't like hospitals. They give me bad vibes. You know, people, I appreciate everybody that work in the healthcare industry. I love y'all to death, because y'all make y'all, without y'all, boy, I just don't want to see y'all. That's just what it is. I don't want to see y'all. I don't want to see y'all. Okay. I don't want to see y'all at work. I see you outside of work. Oh, what's good? We're going to wrap it up. But I don't want to see you at your profession, because that's something that means something going on with me. So I go to the hospital, yada, yada. I'm having this pain. You know it was bad because I don't do hospitals, but I went to the hospital. I'm having this pain, yada, 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 yada. They're like, cool, we're going to do these tests to see what's going on. They did this CAT scan, right? And the CAT scan, so they did a abdominal CAT scan where they can see everything in my abdomen. They were like, he came in like, we're going to do this test about 30, 40 minutes. We're going to get you a result. I'm kind of just laying on the bed in the hallway. You ever been in a hospital? That must be packed all the time. So they got beds in the hallways with little curtains. Obviously, I'm laying on the bed. I'm in pain. And I'm waiting on the results to get back from my CAT scan. And it finally gets back. He's like, real cool doctor. This doctor was real cool and sweet. He was like, you ever had surgery? I'm like, nah, not on my abdomen. He's like, sure, because you ain't never had your appendix taken out? I'm like, no, I ain't never had my appendix taken out. He was like, that's weird because we can't see it on the skin. And I'm an observer. I observe, you feel me? Like I'm looking at his face. I'm like, that don't sound good. Like he's like, yeah, it ain't good. He was like, I'm gonna have the surgeon come down to you. Like that doesn't mean you need surgery. I just want a better expert. I'm like, cool. Surgery come down. This doctor was not cool. This doctor was negative. I don't do negative. I almost got up and walked up out that joint because boy, Jesus know, Lord knows that I wouldn't have him what he was saying. He basically came down, said the same thing. You ever had surgery? Nah, we can't see your appendix. I'm like, that don't sound good. He like, it's not good. I'm like, why? What that mean? He's like, yeah, we're gonna have to cut you open in the morning and find out. I said, cut me open. I said, I to go dig around and try to find. I said, huh? Make it make sense. I ain't say make it make sense, but in my head, I'm like, make it make sense. I'm like, so is this something I need to worry about? He was like, well, we don't know what's causing the pain. Like people who usually had that pain has had an abdomen surgery, abdominal surgery, and we don't know why you're having that pain. So I ain't gonna say it ain't nothing to worry about, but you definitely should be worried. Like I'm like, bro, you negative, you this, you that. He's like, okay, so tonight we're gonna stick this tube down your nose, down your throat, and it's gonna be the worst thing in your life. That's what he told me. I put that on everything I love, y'all. And I'm like, at that point, I could just like laugh because I'm like, ain't no way this happened. Like, I work out, I'm healthy. Like, well, come on, bro. At that point, I'm like, all right, whatever the case may be. And I wouldn't even tell y'all no lie. At maybe like for 2 minutes, I was like, God, bro, you kidding me? Like, I'm doing right by people. I'm giving to people when they ask. Like, I'm literally trying to do the best that I can. Why this happening to me? Like, why is this happening to me? And I want to let y'all know, just because you question God don't mean you're in the wrong. Like when we go through a storm, a lot of times we question like why I gotta go through this. Why is it happening to me? Like I'm not doing wrong by nobody, but he told me like I didn't send this storm, but I'm gonna make sure you get through this storm. And I let out one tear. I ain't even gonna lie, I let out one tear, but I had to wipe that tear away because I was there by myself. Like, I had to be strong. And it's something I always say, God bless the child that can hold his own. Because it's something about being strong when you're not even strong. That really kinda takes some life out of you because you be needing people to be strong for you, but you gotta be strong because ain't nobody there. And my family, they was texting friends. I just had went by myself because I thought I was gonna get in and get out, but little did I know I wasn't getting in, getting out, and so I had to be strong in the situation that I didn't want to be strong in. But God gonna make sure you okay. So he said I didn't send the storm. I'm gonna make sure you get through this storm. And so I wiped that little tear away, and I'm like, I'm gonna be all right. I put on I'm big on putting your music in and listen to worship music to speak words of affirmation and glory over your life when you can't form them yourself. I'm really big on that. So I put my AirPods in and I have a worship playlist. I would not lie to y'all. I wouldn't lie to y'all. I wouldn't lie to y'all. I put my worship playlist, I hit shuffle. The first song that came up was See a Victory. And if you don't know, songs like I'm gonna see a victory, the battle's already won. And that song, I shuffled it. That was my sign. Like you gonna be all right. That from that point on, I was good. I knew God was like, I didn't send this storm, but I'm gonna make sure you get through this storm. And when He gave me that sign, I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay, right? So they spoke. They didn't speak death over my life. It was surgery. They do surgery all the time, but they spoke something over my life that I didn't want to receive. And I'm gonna tell you this: just because somebody say something has to be done with your life, you don't have to receive it. Just because they say that's what's nope. If God didn't say it, I'm not taking it. But a lot of times we take and we receive things that man speak over our life, and then we end up living it. So, and let me finish the story real quick. I sat through the hospital all night. I couldn't eat or drink anything. I couldn't have no IV because I was supposed to have surgery in the morning. And I just laid in the bed. That's all I did. They didn't do anything. I mean, they checked on me, but they didn't do anything. I literally, I let the worship music all night, playing my ear all night, all night, all night, all night. And I woke up the next morning. I'm talking about I was in pain, like straight pain. I woke up the next morning, no pain, no nothing. The doctor was like, what do you mean? Like, are you lying to us? Like, there's no way you should be pain free. I'm like, I'm pain free. I told God that night, I'm like, hey, and if y'all know me, I'm like, hey, they ain't cut me open. I don't care what they talking about. They ain't cut me open. So whatever you got to do, do it. I told him whatever you got to do, do it. I let the music play all night. I woke up no pain. I sat through the hospital that next day. They were steady running tests. They were like, "We shocked you don't have no pain, but if you don't have no pain after all these tests, you can go home." And eventually, I ended up getting sent home. And through the glory of God, like they spoke something over my life. I didn't accept it. I said I wasn't going for it. I said, God, whatever you need to do it in my life, and He did it. It was kind of one of those testimonial times that if you believe in what God said He can do on this earth, that He'll do it, and He did it for me. And I'm just thankful, and I appreciate all the people who was reaching out. I had a bunch of people reaching out. I don't think I was there physically by myself, but and I had some people come check on me, come through the next day. But people were there with kind words and scriptures, and man, that meant the world to me. So just because somebody speaks something of your life, you don't have to accept it because God, He gonna counteract. You know what I'm saying? So, but I kind of want to end with this scripture, John 13:7. And it's become one of my favorite scriptures because I just recently learned it. It says, "You may not understand now what I'm doing, but one day you'll understand." That it's some things, it's some hard times that we're gonna go through in life. We're gonna question, we're gonna wonder, we're gonna cry, we're gonna yell, we're gonna scream like, God, why did you choose me to go through it? And this ain't in the Bible, it's a kind of popular saying that God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. Man, it's some questions that we just don't understand. And that's the beautiful thing about God, because we're gonna go through some things in life, and life be life. Life be life, and you're gonna go through some things and you'll never get the answer why you went through it. You'll never get closure why that person left or that person did this or why you had to go through this, because life don't care. It's evil in this world. That is what it is. But the good thing about God, He said, you might not understand what I'm doing now, but one day you will. He'll never leave you out of your own story. It's some things He needs you to go through. It's some things that He needs you to encounter, because who He needs you to be, you can only get that through a storm. You can only get that going through the rain and the trials and the tribulations. And you might not understand now, but when you make it through, He gonna let you know why you went through it. And you're gonna look back and say, God, I didn't want to go through it, but I'm glad I did, because who I am now, I could have never been if you didn't step in and give me what you gave me. So if you're watching this right now, you might be going through that time or that season. I need you to keep walking to the storm, not away from the storm. You don't understand now, that's okay. You don't need to, because if you did, you wouldn't go through. If you knew the storm was coming, and if you knew you had to go through what you had to go through, you would have ran a long time ago. I need you to keep walking towards the storm. And when you make it through, when the time is right, because everything has a great time and season in God's kingdom, He'll let you know why you went through it. And I guarantee you won't look back and say, I wish I never went through it, because it's going to build you and make you somebody that you could have never been without God. You can make it through. I got faith in God, and this is a family. We do it all together. I appreciate y'all. Episode 1, surviving hard times, making it through your storm, whatever you want to categorize that. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all know this is a family. Mindful Faith family. We do it together. Life is better together. And just because this is virtual or through a phone, we all in this together, through the comic session, through all the positivity, through all the love. We do this together, man. Y'all know I love y'all. Y'all know we support each other. Go be blessed. Go be a blessing to somebody else, and let God continue to work in your life. We out.